Before we dive into today's conversation, let's take a moment to look back. Because in part one of our travel series, we explored why travel is so much more than just getting on a plane.
We started with the big picture, the life lessons that only travel can teach, like patience, humility, gratitude, and how sometimes the most uncomfortable moments become the most meaningful memories.
Then we took you to some of our favorite places around the world, not just for the views, but for the feelings they gave us. The way a city can slow you down or a mountain can wake you up.
And of course, we shared a few of our funniest and messiest travel fails. Because let's be honest, things do go wrong. But that's where the real stories are born.
Finally, we talked about how travel doesn't have to be expensive. From budget hacks to slow travel, we showed how intention matters more than money.
So that was part one, 4 chapters about discovery, adventure, and practical tools for seeing the world with open eyes.
And now in part two, we're shifting focus from places and plans to people. All right, welcome back. If you have been traveling for any length of time, you probably already know that one of the absolute best parts of travel is not just the places you go, it is the people you meet along the way.
Yes, sometimes you meet someone for just a few hours and they leave an impression on you for life. Other times, those quick travel friendships turn into lifelong connections that span continents.
In this chapter, we are going to talk about the unexpected friendships, the incredible people, and the beautiful moments of human connection that travel brings.
Because honestly, it is the people you meet who make the world feel a little smaller, a little kinder, and a whole lot more magical.
So, one of my favorite memories comes from a tiny hostel in Lisbon, Portugal. I had just arrived, traveling solo, and honestly feeling a little lonely. I walked into the common room, and there was this group of people from all over the world: Germany, Brazil, Japan, Australia.
Instant international family.
Exactly. That night, we cooked a big dinner together, swapped travel stories, and ended up staying up until 3 in the morning, playing guitar and singing songs in every language you can imagine.
I love that. There is something about travel that strips away all the barriers. You are not worried about what people do for a living or where they went to school. You connect as humans first.
Absolutely. And even though we all went our separate ways after a few days, we still keep in touch on social media. It is incredible how travel friendships can stretch across oceans.
One of my most memorable experiences was when I tried couch surfing in South Korea. I stayed with this amazing woman in Seoul who showed me a side of the city I would have never found on my own.
That is awesome. What kinds of things did you do?
She took me to hidden local restaurants, traditional tea houses, and even her grandmother's village outside the city. We spent evenings cooking together and swapping stories about our lives. It felt like I had gained a sister halfway across the world.
That is the best. And it is such a good reminder that people everywhere are proud of their cultures. Here is another one. I was hiking in Patagonia solo when I ran into two guys from Belgium and a girl from Canada at a trailhead. We ended up hiking together for 4 days.
4 days, just randomly.
Yup. We shared food, helped each other through some brutal climbs, camped under the stars. By the end, it felt like we had known each other for years.
There is something about struggling together that bonds people instantly.
Totally. And because we had no distractions, no Wi Fi, no work emails, the conversations got deep fast. Life dreams, heartbreaks, fears, hopes. It was pure and real.
Speaking of deep connections, one summer I went to La Tomatina in Spain, the giant tomato fight festival.
Oh, I know it. It sounds completely insane.
It was wild. Imagine thousands of people crammed into tiny streets, all throwing tomatoes at each other. Total madness. But in the middle of all that chaos, I met a group of girls from Argentina, and we instantly clicked. After the festival, we traveled together for 2 more weeks around Spain.
That is amazing. And it started with tomatoes flying through the air.
Exactly. Travel friendships are like that. They often start in the most random ways, but they grow fast and deep because you are sharing intense experiences.
So maybe you are wondering, that sounds amazing, but how do I actually meet people while traveling?
Good question. First tip, stay in social accommodations. Hostels, shared Airbnb experiences, couch surfing, all great options.
Second, say yes to group activities. Walking tours, cooking classes, language exchanges, anything that brings people together.
Third, be open. Smile. Start conversations. Most travelers are just as eager to meet new friends as you are.
And fourth, be brave enough to go solo sometimes. Solo travelers tend to be more approachable and more open to meeting others.
Honestly, some of the most beautiful moments of my life happened because I took a chance, said hello to a stranger, and ended up creating a memory that will stay with me forever.
Same here. Travel reminds you that even across languages and borders, we are more connected than we think.
And speaking of connection, our next chapter is all about the places that feel like hidden treasures. The places that are not overloaded with tourists, but offer pure, unforgettable magic.
Coming up next, hidden gems most tourists miss. Welcome back, everyone. Now that we have talked about friendships on the road, let's shift gears a little. Today's travel culture is filled with Instagram hotspots and bucket list locations. But the truth is, some of the most magical places are the ones that do not show up on your social media feed.
Exactly. In this chapter, we are sharing some of the hidden gems we have discovered along our journeys. Places that are a little off the beaten path, but offer unforgettable beauty, culture, and experiences.
Places where you do not have to elbow through crowds or wait in line for hours. Just you, the world, and the wonder of discovering something special.
So get ready to take some notes because these hidden gems might just become your next favorite destinations.
All right, let me kick this off with one of my absolute favorite hidden gems, the Azores.
The Azores. I feel like hardly anyone talks about them.
Exactly. The Azores are a group of volcanic islands in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean belonging to Portugal. Think Hawaii meets Iceland, dramatic cliffs, lush green hills, bubbling hot springs, and crystal clear lakes.
That sounds unreal. What was your favorite part?
Hiking to Lagoa do Fogo, a crater lake hidden deep in the mountains. There were moments during that hike where I literally did not see another person for hours. Just silence, nature, and the sound of the wind through the trees.
That sounds like paradise. All right, my hidden gem, Girocaster, Albania.
Albania, I feel like that is so underrated.
It truly is. Girocaster is a UNESCO World Heritage Site known as the City of Stone. The old town is filled with Ottoman style houses clinging to steep hills, cobblestone streets, and a massive ancient fortress at the top.
That sounds straight out of a fantasy novel.
It feels like stepping back in time. Plus, the people are incredibly warm and welcoming. And bonus, it is incredibly affordable. You can eat a delicious meal for just a few dollars.
Another spot that completely stole my heart is Luang Prabang in Laos.
I have heard so many good things about it.
It is magical. Nestled at the meeting point of two rivers and surrounded by misty mountains, Luang Prabang is a town where ancient temples, French colonial architecture and vibrant night markets all blend together.
Sounds dreamy.
One morning, I woke up before dawn to watch the almsgiving ceremony, where hundreds of monks walked silently through the streets to collect offerings. It was so peaceful and moving, a reminder of a slower, more mindful way of life.
Next up for me, Salento, Colombia.
Tell me everything.
Salento is a colorful little town surrounded by rolling coffee farms and towering wax palm trees, the tallest palm trees in the world. Hiking through the Kokora Valley feels like walking through Jurassic Park.
That sounds insane.
Plus, the coffee tours there are amazing. You can visit local family owned farms and see how coffee is grown, harvested, and roasted by hand. And of course, you get to taste the freshest coffee you have ever had in your life.
Another hidden gem, Kotor, Montenegro.
Yes, Montenegro is so underrated.
Kotor is this medieval town tucked between towering mountains and a stunning bay. It is like Dubrovnik's quieter, more authentic little sister. You can hike up to the fortress for a view that will honestly leave you speechless.
And way fewer crowds, right?
Way fewer. And you still get that gorgeous Adriatic vibe, ancient walls, terracotta rooftops, the smell of the sea.
And for my last hidden gem, the Faroe Islands.
Oh, that is a deep cut.
These remote islands between Iceland and Norway are pure rugged beauty, dramatic cliffs, misty waterfalls, tiny villages with grass-roofed houses. It feels like another world.
How was the weather?
Wild rain, sun, fog, and rainbows all in the same hour. But that is part of the magic. And if you are looking for true peace and quiet, there is nothing like standing on a cliff in the Faroe Islands, watching the waves crash below, and feeling like you are the only human for miles.
I love all these places. And I think it is important to remember that hidden gems offer more than just fewer tourists, they offer deeper, more personal experiences.
Exactly. When you visit places that are not overrun, you get to interact with locals more authentically, support smaller communities, and find magic that has not been packaged for Instagram.
Plus, it keeps the spirit of adventure alive. It is not just about checking boxes, it is about discovering the unexpected.
And honestly, some of my happiest travel memories are from the places I stumbled upon accidentally, without a guidebook or a plan.
Same here. And speaking of life changing discoveries, our next chapter is a little more philosophical. It is about how travel doesn't just change your vacation photos, it changes you.
Coming up next, how travel changes your perspective forever.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Up until now, we have talked about the where and how of travel, the places, the budgets, the people, the adventures. But now we want to go deeper.
Because ultimately, travel is not just about moving from one place to another. It is about changing how you see the world and yourself.
Exactly. Travel leaves a permanent mark on your mind, your heart, and the way you live your life long after you come home. In this chapter, we are diving into how travel transforms your perspective forever.
One of the biggest shifts travel created in me was gratitude.
Same here. When you visit places where people live with far fewer resources but still radiate joy, you realize how much you take for granted.
Exactly. Clean water, public libraries, access to healthcare, the ability to travel safely, these are not universal guarantees. They are privileges.
And even small everyday conveniences, a hot shower, a public bus that runs on time, being able to walk safely at night, you start to notice and appreciate them deeply.
Gratitude becomes a lens you carry with you everywhere, not just when you travel.
Another huge lesson for me, flexibility.
Oh, yes. Travel forces you to embrace the unexpected.
Your plans will change. Your flights will get delayed. Your hotel booking will mysteriously disappear. And instead of melting down, you learn to adapt.
You realize that you are not in control of everything, and that is actually freeing.
It teaches you to let go, trust the journey, and make the best of what you have.
Travel also reshapes how you define success and happiness.
Absolutely. You meet people living vastly different lives, a fisherman in a small coastal town, a street artist in a bustling city, a farmer in the mountains, and you see that happiness does not have one formula.
Exactly. It is not always about climbing a corporate ladder or owning a big house. Sometimes it is about community, creativity, connection to nature, or simply living with intention.
You realize that a good life looks different for everyone, and that is beautiful.
One of the most profound changes for me was developing a deeper empathy for people whose lives are very different from mine.
Same here. When you meet people face to face, share meals, hear their stories suddenly, headlines about faraway places are not just abstract anymore. They are personal.
You realize that those people are actually just people with dreams, families, laughter, and struggles just like yours.
Travel turns them into us.
Travel also ignites a deep curiosity, a hunger to keep learning.
Absolutely. You realize how much you do not know about history, language, art, food, culture, geography, and instead of feeling discouraged, you feel energized.
Travel teaches you that learning is not just something you do in school, it is a lifelong adventure.
And every conversation, every map, every meal becomes a classroom.
Another huge shift. Travel changes how you experience time.
Definitely. When you are somewhere new, every day feels vivid, full, memorable. You are present. You are noticing details, the color of the sky, the smell of a bakery, the rhythm of a new language.
Contrast that with daily routine life, where sometimes entire weeks blur together. Travel reminds you that time is precious and that you have the power to slow it down by living more intentionally.
You start seeking travel moments, even at home. Small adventures, new experiences, ways to break the routine.
Finally, travel humbles you. No matter how much you prepare, you will make mistakes, misunderstand things, and sometimes just feel completely lost.
And that is a good thing. It reminds you that the world is vast and mysterious and that there is always more to learn, more to explore.
Travel keeps you curious. It keeps you humble. It reminds you to never assume you know everything because life is so much richer than we can imagine.
So travel is not just a hobby. It is a catalyst for deep lasting change.
It changes your relationship with the world and with yourself.
And the best part? You do not have to go around the world to experience that magic. Sometimes a trip to a new city, a hike on a new trail, or a conversation with a stranger is enough to spark transformation.
Absolutely. Adventure is not a destination, it is a mindset.
And speaking of wrapping up, we are coming to the final chapter of today's journey. Let's bring it home with a few final reflections and encouragements for everyone listening.
Stay tuned, the closing chapter is coming right up.
All right, everyone, here we are, the end of today's journey together. Or maybe just the beginning?
Because if there is one thing we hope you take away from today, it is this: the spirit of travel, of wonder, of openness, of connection does not end when the plane lands or the vacation is over.
It is something you can carry with you every single day. It is about staying curious, asking questions, meeting new people, trying new things, challenging your assumptions.
It is about realizing that adventure is everywhere if you are willing to look for it.
Maybe your next great discovery is not across an ocean. Maybe it is in the next town over, the new class you decide to take, or the stranger you smile at on the street.
Travel teaches us that the world is wide and beautiful, but it also teaches us that we are part of that beauty, part of that story.
So keep exploring, keep connecting, keep seeking wonder, because no matter where you go or how far the real journey is within you,
Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope we have inspired you to dream a little bigger, travel a little deeper, and live a little more fully.
until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and keep chasing the horizon.
Bye, everyone.